Hello and welcome again to Forgotten Temples of Cambodia, and unsurprisingly you find me on a dusty track in the middle of nowhere. It's been quite the long drive, you know, but it is of course always worth it. Well, I sincerely hope so, because what I'm hunting down today is a temple called Snay La, which is rather an excellent name, isn't it? Now then, I'm going to walk you into this one because the last video I actually showed you how I actually get to these temples, and that got some very positive remarks from the people who view these videos, which, let's be frank, is not a lot of people. But that's not why I do it. This is no popularity competition. This is a passion of mine. Now then, from looking at my mapping and so on, I believe we're already closing in, and the visual clues are there if you look for them. And that visual clue is these trees here and that taller tree there. So my guess is, and I can actually see, oh look, there's a tiny little thing there, like a little hut, which will probably have relics in it. There's a clue right there. You see, when you know what you're looking for, it does become rather apparent. So let us head in that direction and see what we find. As always, it is a mystery. Right, and we're getting closer in, but I thought I'd show you a bit more of the environment. Here is a quick satellite image of where I am. As you can see, there's not an awful lot around, but you may be interested by this. See over there, look, there's a few locals' living accommodations, houses. I think in being polite to call them huts. But as you can see, not exactly a densely populated area, which of course is the way it is now. Before, it would have been different, I feel, because I've been doing quite a lot of reading. Thanks to a very kind gentleman named Mark Ord, I have learnt volumes, and I obviously will continue to learn. And what it is all this here, which is now empty, would have had people. There would have been houses, but I've said before, they would have been made of wood, and of course they have now disappeared. Now at the centre of that community, very much like your village church, there would have been the temple, and it's this temple here. So let's continue around this path and head on in and see what we find. And here we are at our target. May I introduce you to Snay La. And Snay La couldn't have come at a better time. He personifies something that's been rolling around my mind today. And that is the state of these temples. Now, I am being interviewed today by the Khmer Times, the biggest newspaper in Cambodia, with about 1 million people readership. And the interviewer there asked me a question. It is the best question I have ever been asked in an interview. And what she asked was, what would you say to the Cambodian people? And the answer was preformed in my head. The answer is, this sort of thing shouldn't happen. These smaller forgotten temples shouldn't be left in neglect like this, because once they're gone forever. And let us not forget what they are. I mean, you look at it and it's just a bit of rubble in the middle of a field in some distant country. If you think that, you're wrong. What you're in fact looking at is the home of the gods. This is what these temples were, for inside them was a deity, a god, and they resided in here. But there was a major problem. Over time, they were looted, so people came along, went in here and took away those statues and those sculptures. And that ripped out its very heart, its very soul. And subsequently, nobody comes here. So what I suggest as a workable solution is put those statues back. Just simple, concrete, cheap statues that probably would cost $100 or less. And by doing this, you reactivate the temple. You bring it back to life. I mean, the ancients built these things with a lot of hard work and a lot of love. So why should they be neglected so? They shouldn't, is the answer. And I believe, because I have seen it in other places, I have seen where there's a pagoda near a temple like this, and some forward-looking monk has placed a statue inside, and people come back to them. But that is so rare, I've only seen it once or twice. But it works, I assure you it works. So that would be my solution. It's a shame, isn't it? He's like this. But we've come all this way, so let's go and introduce ourselves. And here he is. And I do need to explain something to you. That noise in the background is insects that live up in the trees. As you get close to them, they send out a general alarm saying there's someone about. So don't think that's some sort of artifact. Now then, what I've worked out by getting out a compass is this is the entrance for that points east. What I do know, because I swear to God, I am covered in bloody needle marks from the thorns here. So I've cleared this away a little bit, and these things itch like hell. It's like I've been bitten by 100 mosquitoes. So I need to go through it yet again. But this is the price I pay. And already, look what we're met by. This fantastic bit of sculpture. And this tells us that, you know, this ornate piece of stone, that this place was loved and respected and wanted. And I've been hit again. Ow, Jesus. That really does hurt. Sorry for saying Jesus. Someone complained about that once. Ah, come on. Oh, gee. Oh, right. Okay, and we're through. And this is all we get to see. And it's in this chamber that that statue would have stood, the very reason for this being built. But, of course, it has gone. But with just a little bit of clearance, placing the statue, the god, back here, and clearing this awful bush away, people could come here, and this temple, as I say, would have its heart back and be reactivated. Now let's have a quick look round. So there's the entrance we've just come out of, and it's for me to push through these thorns yet again. It is unforgiving, this stuff. I have trampled most of them round because the last time I tried to film this, I literally was just bound up in thorns. And this would have been a side chamber. And look here, see that? That is a root that's gone through the stones. By clearing this stuff away, that root wouldn't grow, and this separation in the stones wouldn't happen, and this wall won't come falling down, which it will do. I absolutely guarantee it. It only takes a little bit of weeding and a small amount of attention. And then this place will be preserved for generation after generation. And this is the backside of him. And we must remember as well, a little bit of digging down, who knows what you might find. I mean, statues and heads and all sorts of things have been found in the earth around these temples. But as he stands, this is a little lost old guy who's calling out for some help, isn't he? So that was Snay La, and he's a great example, if not a great temple to look at, that is. For me, they're all great because they compel me to go out on more journeys. And I've learned something else here. Those particular bushes I was pushing through, don't do that again. It literally feels like I've been dipped in a red ant's nest. My skin is glowing with these small bites, but they're in fact from the thorns. They're in my head, they've gone through my clothes, my jeans, and my arms actually feel right now like they're being eaten by ants. They're just covered. It's just unbelievably not nice. But that's the price you pay for doing something new in your life. And I can't recommend it enough. Painful or not, doing something new is always an advisable thing. As I always say, get the crunch. This has been Mr. B of Forgotten Temples, Cambodia. And until next time, I can offer you nothing but the very best. Take good care.